Welcome to Thez Nutz Garage, and today we're going to be back out here working on the 2014 Ford Fusion. And as you can see, we're going to be changing the oil and transmission fluid. Alrighty, now so what we're going to be doing is changing our transmission fluid in this 2014 Ford Fusion. And what we're going to be using today is this Amsoil ATF Signature Series automatic transmission fluid. If you want to see the specifications on this, you can go to amsoil.com. I imagine if you click on this, find this oil, this transmission fluid on their website, you can click on it and it's going to tell you all the specifications to it. It's supposed to meet or exceed, I guess, the Ford Mercon ML fluid or whatever it is. But we're going to find out by putting it to the test. And if I'm not mistaken, which I probably am, and if I am, comment down below, I think this car uses about 9 quarts of transmission fluid, but when you do this change, it only requires like 4.5 quarts. So you're not doing a complete change on your transmission fluid. That's why I'm not going to flush this transmission out with the engine transmission flush, is because I don't want any of that remaining in this transmission and thinning out this oil. So what we're going to be doing is just changing the fluid, and we're not flushing it out. So we're going to get started on that. And the first thing we have to do is, underneath the hood there's basically like your oil cap, you have a transmission cap. We're going to take that off, and then we're going to go underneath the vehicle, and then we're going to drain all the fluid out of it. I guess first things first is we need to take this splash shield out from underneath the car. We're going to need to do this for both the transmission oil fluid change and this oil change. Looks like there's about 5 of these screws across the front, and then we have 2 in the very back here. So we'll remove those, and we'll get this splash guard down. Alrighty, so we're going to be pulling this transmission cap off, and this is on the passenger side of the car. You have your air box here, and then the cover for your engine is here. Right down here below these silver lines is this cap. They usually have some yellow writing on the top. Mine's just solid black. What I'm going to do is pop that off. These lines are kind of close to it, so I got to use both hands to do this. But we're going to get that cap off and just sit it to the side. Now we're under the car, and what we're going to be trying to find is this little nut right here, this drain plug. It usually sits right here by this, I guess this is some sort of transmission case identification number thing. So it sits right here beside that. It is an 11mm drain plug. We're just going to take that out, let all the transmission fluid drain out of it. As you can tell, I have a different bucket. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to look at my fluids. Both of these were brand new buckets. That way when I drain it out, I can look in it, make sure there's not any contaminations or any metal parts in this fluid. Once again, it's going to be hot. Wind is kicking today. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to measure this fluid and put the exact same amount back in the transmission from the top. This transmission hasn't been leaking or anything. These are sealed. So whatever I take out of it, I should be able to put right back in it and not have any issues. I just don't want to, the way you do this is like a rear axle. You kind of have a leveling plug up here. You kind of undo that and let it drain out as it runs, being level on the ground. But the way the wind's blowing, I don't know if it's just going to blow all over the place, so I'm trying to prevent that. Alright, so I got my drain plug. I did put some thread sealant on it. It's like you can get it at AutoZone or any auto parts store. So I'm just going to stick this in there and tighten it up again. Once again, this is a steel bolt, or stainless steel bolt, going into an aluminum housing. So you don't have to go crazy with it, because you don't want to break this or crack this housing at all, or strip out those threads. That's what the sealant's for on the threads, so it seals it. That's as far as I'm going to go with it. So now what I'm going to do is measure how much fluid that I have in this bucket, and then we're going to add that back into the top of the transmission. Alright, so I measured the amount of transmission fluid that come out of the transmission, and it was exactly 1 gallon. So what I have here is I have a 1 gallon jug of the automatic transmission fluid, and this is the Signature Series transmission fluid. Like I said before, you can go on their website, find out all the specs. So this funnel that you see right here, it is going down into the hole where I removed the cap. This is the cap right here. What I'm going to do is just pour this whole gallon into this transmission. It's a lot different color than came out of it. Alrighty, so that's basically how you change the automatic transmission fluid in this 2014 Ford Fusion. And all I have to do is put this cap back on, put the splash guard back on underneath the car, and I'll be ready to go. So now if you liked the video, smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I suggest that you do so now. Hit that bell so if anytime we upload a video, you get a notification of it. Comment down below whatever you want to comment. Have you ever changed your automatic transmission fluid in one of these cars? If you haven't, if I've done something wrong, comment that down below. All comments help, and I appreciate every one of them, negative or bad. Alright, so now at the end of this video, what I'm going to do is a price comparison of what we're spending each year at the Ford dealership versus using Amsoil products and doing it myself. Now real quick, I'm going to explain why I've never changed the oil in this car myself. And that's because it had a 100,000 mile powertrain warranty from Ford. Now, I did not want to get into a situation where I was changing my oil myself. There was an issue with the engine in the car, and Ford come back and said, well, we didn't service the engine. We don't know if you've even serviced it at all, you know, and have to prove records where you had it serviced. By allowing them to do it all the way until this warranty went out, if I ever had a problem with my engine or my transmission, Ford can't argue with their own dealerships. They serviced it every 5,000 miles, and if something went wrong, it's on them, and I don't have to prove anything. Now, I'm going to base this comparison off of a 15,000 mile oil change intervals. And the reason why is because the filter by Amsoil is only good for 15,000 miles, and that's what the 15K right there is for. Even though the oil is good for 25,000 miles. Now, I know I could have went down in the level of oil so I could have an oil that's a 15,000 mile oil with a 15,000 mile filter. You know, I would like to see them have a filter that's good for 25,000 miles. And maybe they do, but this was, when I ordered, this was the best filter that I could get from Amsoil. So we're going to go with 15,000 miles, and I will be changing the oil at 15,000 miles on this car. And at the end of that, I'll also have a sample of the oil sent off to be tested, and I'll be able to compare it with what I sent off the other day. So I had to order a gallon and 2 quarts of oil for this car because it says it uses 5.7 quarts of oil, and that's what's inside the filter as well. So this right here cost me, with the Amsoil products, was $72.20 plus tax. So I'm going to say the tax will be about $6-7 bucks, so let's just make it an even $80. Now when we go to get our oil changed at Ford, we have to do it every 5,000 miles. And every time we go to get it changed, it's roughly $49.95 or $49.99 or something plus tax, so we'll say about 55 bucks. So if we're running a 15,000 mile comparison times 50, let's say $55 times 3, it's going to be $165 what we're going to pay each year to have our oil changed. Now with the Amsoil products, what we're doing is we're saving about half by doing it myself and using a higher grade oil, because I think the oil that you get, Motorcraft oil, is a blended oil. If I'm wrong, comment down below, but I believe it's a blend. So this is what we're going with, is 100% synthetic, and so far it's worked pretty great. Now if we went to say any parts store that's out there, or a big box store, and bought a competitor's oil, which is a Mobil 1 oil, and it's a 15,000 mile oil and a 15,000 mile filter that you can get, you're going to spend about $70 after tax. I think here I looked it up and it was $63.73 plus tax, so let's say about $6-7 in tax. So you're going to spend about $71. It's about $9 cheaper than say what I'm spending on the Amsoil products, but there is a debate on 100% synthetic motor oil and full synthetic motor oil. I've just seen a little bit of it, and I'm not going to get into it. If you, whatever you prefer, you can comment it down below which one you think's the better, but from what I understand is they're not equal. The 100% fully synthetic is supposed to be better than the full synthetic. Like I said, I don't know. If you want to comment something down below about it, you can. Now, when it goes into the transmission fluid, what I bought was a gallon of this automatic transmission fluid from Amsoil, and then I bought another quart, because I think this car uses about 9 quarts of transmission fluid if you do a complete flush. You're not going to be able to do a complete flush sitting out in your driveway or in your garage unless you have a machine that can pull all the transmission fluid out of your engine and replace it. So this is, I'm going to call it a partial transmission fluid replacement. And with the Amsoil, I spent about $58.45, and I'll say plus tax because this was before the tax. So we'll say another $6, let's say 64 bucks for this transmission fluid. Now you can go on, but this is 100% fully synthetic, or 100% synthetic oil. Now you can go with Motorcraft, and you can go on eBay, and I found 5 quarts, which is the same amount that I got here, for $30.88. Now once again, I don't think that's a full synthetic or 100% synthetic transmission fluid. Now you could do it for that, and I think that even included shipping. So, but being that I'm just replacing all my fluids with Amsoil products just to test it out, I paid about $20 or so more, maybe $30 more for the transmission fluid. But still, I'm on the win side because I saved $80 on the oil. All right, now if I would have taken this car to the Ford dealership to have them, I'll say, do a transmission flush. Now they would do a complete transmission flush. They would pull all the transmission fluid out of it, run a cleaner through it, and replace it with the Motorcraft transmission fluid that it requires. Now that will cost you, at least at my dealership that I'm at least close to today, will be about, it's $169.95 plus tax, which is, I'm gonna say 10%, another $17. So we'll say another 170. It would be $175 to have a complete transmission flush happen. Now you may be able to find a dealership who, independent dealership that may do Amsoil transmission fluid and have them do the flush on your vehicle. I'm sure there's some out there. I don't know of any. If you have one or know of one, comment that down below, because there's not one locally around me. So that's really not an apples to apples comparison when it comes to what I did, but that's the full flush. And just know that when you are doing what I did, where you're replacing 4 or 5 quarts, that's only about half of the fluid that's in the engine. Now you're supposed to do this car every 30,000 miles, and if you was to continue to do that over, say, the next flush that you did, you're going to finally naturally just flush out all the original transmission fluid and replace it with the Amsoil. And from what I've always understood was that was the better way to doing it, was to slowly, gradually do it, to change it over, because of all the friction modifiers and everything that's in that transmission fluid. Now if I'm wrong, comment down below, because that's just what I've been told over my years of just being a shade tree mechanic and working on stuff myself. Alright, so what I want to do now is talk about the Amsoil Preferred Customer program that they have. And I am a preferred customer, and it does cost a certain amount for so much per year. Now, there's a lot of perks to that and benefits to that. So I'm going to, in the comment section or the description, I'll leave that, I think it's amsoil.com/PC link, and you can go there and you can see all the perks to it and see if it's right for you. Now, I order a lot of stuff online because when I'm at work, I work quite a bit and I'm away from home at that time. And right now, I'm away from home even now. So it's kind of hard for me to just, when I come home, have to run around, pick up all these parts. So what I like to do is just order stuff online, and when I get back to where we're staying, those parts are waiting on me at the door. So ordering stuff online, I'm not afraid of that. So with that being said, if you're an Amsoil Preferred customer, you get like 25% off of their pricing. Now, the prices that I gave you today are with the 25% off. So if you was to go to amsoil.com and you was to try to order this motor oil, I think it's like $14 a quart. But when you use your 25% off as being a preferred customer, it comes out to like $9.80 or yeah, about $9.80 per quart. And that's pretty comparable to, I'll say, Mobil One's oil. I think their oil is, I think it was like $8, $9 a quart. So they're pretty comparable when you break it down to cost per quart after your preferred customer discount. Now, you also get free shipping over $75. Now, here's the thing with the free shipping. It costs a lot to have something shipped. I've shipped a lot of stuff in the past, and when you have a box, it's about 24 pounds. It's going to cost you a little bit of money. And I understand that people think, well, free shipping is free shipping. Well, it ain't. Somebody's paying for it, and it's Amsoil to ship you these products. Now, I will utilize, when I make my next order, to make sure it's over $100. I think this total order on my invoice here was $163, and that was said I saved $37.05. So I was well over the $100 free shipping level. But when the next time I go to order something, I'm gonna probably order enough oil for my next oil change, and I'll order some of the upper cylinder lubricant and some of the additives. I also have to order the antifreeze and some of that stuff. So I would utilize the $100 mark to be able to get the free shipping. Now, I wished it was set somewhere if you ordered enough for your oil filter and the oil for your car to do one oil change, that had free shipping. So that way you could order that oil to do your oil change, and you wouldn't have to order anything else to kind of boost it up so you could get the free shipping. And what I'm going to do is talk about the preferred customer rewards and the perks to that. Right here, I'm going to put a number. So if you go to amsoil.com and you order something and you put in this number, what it does is it's a referral to me. And what I do, what will happen is I'll get some points depending upon how much you order. I'll get some points, and what then I can later do is use those points to buy products, say for my F350 build or my F150 that I'm going to be working on, or some of my other products. And if you do that, I thank you very much, because every little bit helps, and you know, that helps support Thez Nutz Garage in a way. Now, you can also go on there, and like I said, in the description down here, there'll be the link, so that way you can go check out exactly what these perks are and what the benefits are to get them. I know it says you can get free gear, and you can get you know, offers and all these things that are going on. So it changes up, I guess, from day to day. So it's not that expensive, like I said, but it does add into the cost of buying the oil. And if you're not buying a lot of stuff each year, or a lot of products, well, it may not be beneficial to you, but for me, it's going to be, because I have 3 trucks, 2 cars, so I'm always going to be ordering something for them. All right, so what I want to do now is talk about how the car ran before Amsoil and after using the Amsoil. Now, you can say this might be a testimonial, but what I'm trying to be is honest in how these products worked in my car. Now, I drive this car on occasion. My wife drives it every day, so she's going to really know how this car drives and sounds compared to what it used to sound like. But the very first thing that I noticed was after using the Amsoil motor oil, and I started letting it, I went to town and back and kind of ran around town a little bit, the car idled almost to where if just sitting there idling, you couldn't even hear the engine running. Now I thought, well, maybe it's been like this the whole time, and my wife got in the car and I said, do you hear the engine running? She's like, no, I don't hear it. Is it on? And I was like, yeah, the car is running. She said, well, it's never been that quiet before. So we noticed a very change in just the way the engine sounded and idled. So putting the transmission fluid in, like I said, I don't drive this car every day, and to give a good comparison, so I let her drive the car. She's like, yeah, it shifts a little bit smoother, you know. And I was like, well, it's not going to be 100% because I only changed half of the fluid, but she said it definitely shifted a little bit better. All right, so now once we put in, we had a couple of things we put in the fuel, and one was a gasoline additive here, and this is a upper cylinder lubricant that we put in. And then this is a gasoline additive deep cleaning. And I think they say they want you to put this in every time you fuel your tank. And I think this is like every 4,000 miles. Well, probably what I'm going to do is break the rules a little bit and probably put this in every 5,000 miles, being that I'm going to be checking my oil every 5,000 miles until we get to that 15,000 mile point. So I'll be adding this every 5,000. And then this right here, I think it's supposed to be, like I said, every time you fill up your car. So what I'll probably do with this is do it every other time I fill up my car, or my wife fills it up. But one thing about these bottles that I do want to give credit for is that I have a Ford, and they don't have gas caps. So you have to get a special little funnel to put in the fuel tank, so that way you can, if you run out of gas, to be able to get that fuel in the car. But these bottles, they're made just for that. If you can see how they're kind of flat on this side right here, they're made to go in and they pop right back out, no problem. So to be honest with you, probably what I'm going to do, since I'm kind of cheap, is I'm probably going to cut the bottom off of one of these bottles and keep it as an extra funnel for if I need to add some other additive or something to my fuel. I'll have a good little funnel that's made just for that gas or capless fuel tanks, or whatever they want to call them. So I do like that about these bottles. Now, being that said about the fuel additives, we did take a 1,000-mile trip, and we did fill up our car before we left, and I put in the top-notch fuel, you know, 93 octane. And then I put both of these bottles in the car, and then we drove about 360 miles to where we were going to be staying. Now, this car normally on the interstate will get about 27 miles per gallon. In town, it's going to run about 24, just 25 maybe. So when we went out there, I tested it just straight interstate, and the car was getting 29.6 miles per gallon. Normally it's about 27, and now that's not running 55 or 60 mile an hour. I was running 70, 75, and sometimes even 80. I wasn't going to drive the car any different because I'm trying to manipulate the fuel mileage on it. Now, like I said, I ran about 75 miles, on average 75 miles an hour all the way. So once we got into town, I reset the computer on the car, and this is going by just what the car is telling me. The car ran about 26 and a half, 27 in town, where it used to get about 24. So I seen about a 2 mile per gallon increase on the highway and in the city. Now, when we had to come back home, all of the additives in the upper cylinder lubricant had already burned through the fuel tank. So we were about out of gas, and I filled it back up again. Well, I filled it up then with just 87 octane, whatever the lower grade of fuel is. So on the way home, the car was starting to get about 30.5, almost 31 miles per gallon, running about the same amount of speed. So once we got home, I've noticed that it's running, I think last night I looked at it and it's running about 27 in the city. So once again, it's getting about a 2 mile per gallon increase on the fuel mileage. But I'm not going to say that that's just solely because of the additives that we put in, because on the way home and as of today, there's been no additives in the fuel. So I know the upper cylinder lubricant probably is still in there, cleaned up a lot of that stuff. But I also think just because of the grade of oil, that it helps it get better fuel mileage because there's less friction, less drag, I'll say, internally in the engine. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video here, and I hope you liked the video. I hope it was informative, this series of videos that I'm doing on this car. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you don't mind, subscribe to the channel, because we're wanting to grow the channel and make it bigger. The more subscribers we have, the bigger we can become, the more exciting and fun cars that we can purchase and rebuild. And also comment down below if you don't like this product. Comment that down below. If you're a fan of it, comment that down below. If whatever you want to comment, just comment down below, because those comments help grow our channel. And I also share the videos. If you're in a Facebook group and this might be beneficial to those groups, share these videos, so that way we can spread the word and grow the channel. Now you have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video.